We live in a world that teaches us to run from pain. When life becomes difficult, we are told to distract ourselves, to numb the discomfort, to escape into entertainment or substances, or endless scrolling. But Buddhist practice offers something radically different. When we chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, when we sit in meditation, when we offer prayers with sincere hearts, we are not running away from reality. We are diving straight into it, armed with the most powerful tools ever discovered by human beings. Think about what a tool actually is. A hammer doesn't build a house by itself. A seed doesn't become a garden without someone planting it. Tools require action. They require intention. They require us to pick them up and use them with purpose. Chanting is exactly like this. Prayer is exactly like this. These practices are not magic spells that work while we sleep. They are instruments of transformation that work when we work with them. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "If you want to understand the causes that existed in the past, look at the results as they are manifested in the present. And if you want to understand what results will be manifested in the future, look at the causes that exist in the present." This simple statement contains a revolutionary truth. Our lives right now are the harvest of seeds we planted yesterday, last month, last year, maybe even in previous lifetimes. And every single moment of today, we are planting the seeds for tomorrow's harvest. This is what karma really means. It's not some cosmic punishment system where the universe keeps score of our mistakes. Karma is simply the law of cause and effect playing out through our choices. Every action creates a reaction. Every word sends ripples through reality. Every thought shapes the lens through which we see the world. And here's the beautiful part that changes everything. If we created our current situation through past causes, we can create a different future through present causes. When we chant, we are not asking some distant deity to fix our problems. We are awakening the Buddha nature that already exists within us. The Lotus Sutra teaches that all people have the potential for enlightenment, not just monks in temples or saints on mountaintops. You have it. The person sitting next to you on the bus has it. The difficult coworker who makes your life hard has it. This Buddha nature is like a seed buried in soil, waiting for the right conditions to sprout. Chanting creates those conditions. When we voice Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, we are not escaping from our challenges. We are generating the wisdom and courage to face them directly. We are tapping into a deeper source of life force that exists beneath all our surface anxieties and fears. Think of it like tuning a radio. The broadcast is always there, flowing through the air, but we can't hear it until we dial into the right frequency. Buddhist practice tunes us into the frequency of our highest potential. But here's where many people get confused. They think that chanting will magically make their problems disappear. They imagine that enough prayers will cause money to fall from the sky or make difficult people suddenly become kind. This misses the point entirely. The real transformation happens inside us first. When we change our inner state, we naturally begin making different choices. Those different choices create different effects. The external change we seek comes as a natural result of internal revolution. Nichiren Daishonin explained this clearly. A sword is useless in the hands of a coward. The practice is the sword, but we must have the courage to wield it. We must take action in the world. We can chant for hours every day, but if we never have the difficult conversation with our partner, if we never apply for the job we want, if we never set boundaries with people who drain us, then we're not actually using the tool we've been given. This is what makes Buddhist practice so different from passive spirituality. Some traditions teach that we should transcend the material world, that we should become so spiritual that earthly concerns no longer matter. But Nichiren Buddhism is rooted in this world, in this life, in the mud and struggle of daily existence. The lotus flower, which appears throughout Buddhist imagery, grows in muddy water. It doesn't reject the mud. It uses the mud as nourishment to create something beautiful. When we meditate, we are training our minds to observe without immediately reacting. We notice our thoughts like clouds passing through the sky. We feel our emotions without being controlled by them. This practice of observation creates a gap between stimulus and response. In that gap lives our freedom. Without that gap, We are just biological robots, reacting automatically to whatever happens to us. With that gap, we become conscious creators of our experience. The Lotus Sutra teaches us about the concept of Ikinen Sanzen, which translates roughly to 3,000 realms in a single moment. This profound idea suggests that each moment contains infinite potential. Right now, in this very instant, you have access to states of hell and states of enlightenment. Which one you experience depends entirely on which causes you make in this moment. Are you choosing wisdom or reactivity, compassion or judgment, courage or fear? These choices ripple outward and shape what comes next. Prayer in this context is not about begging an external force for favors. It's about clarifying our intentions and aligning our deepest values with our daily actions. When we pray for someone else's happiness, something interesting happens in our own heart. The walls we built around ourselves begin to soften. Our perspective expands beyond our personal drama. We tap into something larger than our individual story. Gautama Buddha taught that suffering comes from attachment and ignorance. We cling to things that are constantly changing, and then feel pain when they inevitably transform or disappear. We remain ignorant of our true nature and the nature of reality, mistaking temporary phenomena for permanent truth. But Buddhist practice gradually dissolves both attachment and ignorance. Through consistent practice, we begin to see clearly. We understand that everything changes, including ourselves, and we stop fighting that fundamental truth. This doesn't mean we stop caring about things or people. It means we love and care without the desperate clinging that creates so much suffering. We can work toward goals without our entire identity depending on achieving them. We can enjoy success without being destroyed by failure. This is the freedom that conscious practice creates. Nichiren Daishonin wrote extensively about the concept of changing poison into medicine. This teaching suggests that our worst experiences, our deepest pains, our most difficult karma can all be transformed into fuel for growth. But this transformation doesn't happen automatically. It requires us to actively engage with our challenges through practice. We chant to build the strength to face what hurts. We meditate to gain the clarity to understand why something hurts. We pray for the wisdom to know what action to take next. Consider someone trapped in a cycle of toxic relationships. They might pray for a good partner to appear, but if they don't address the internal patterns that keep attracting dysfunction, the same story will repeat with a different face. The real work is using practice to examine why they tolerate disrespect, what childhood wounds keep them seeking validation from unavailable people, what beliefs about themselves make them settle for crumbs. As they gain insight through practice, they naturally begin making better choices. They set boundaries. They walk away from situations that diminish them. They do the hard work of healing. Then, when a healthy relationship does appear, they're ready for it. This is karma being rewritten through conscious action. The old karma said, "You will experience pain in relationships." The new karma being created says, "You will experience respect and genuine love." But that new karma only comes into being through the causes we make right now, the choices we make today, informed and empowered by our practice. The teaching of the 10 worlds is relevant here. These 10 states exist within each person at all times. From hell to enlightenment, we have the capacity for all of it. Buddhist practice doesn't eliminate the lower worlds. It gives us the ability to transform them. When we feel anger, instead of acting destructively, we can use that energy to fight injustice. When we feel sadness, instead of drowning in it, we can let it open our hearts to others who suffer. Every emotion, every challenge, becomes material for growth when we approach it with the right tools. Meditation teaches us that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness that observes thoughts. This distinction is crucial. If you believe you are your anxious thoughts, then anxiety becomes your identity. But when you see thoughts as temporary weather patterns in the sky of consciousness, you gain tremendous freedom. You can have the thought, "I'm not good enough," without believing it defines you. You can feel fear without letting it control your choices. This level of awareness doesn't develop overnight. It comes through consistent practice day after day, even when we don't feel like it, especially when we don't feel like it. The Lotus Sutra emphasizes the importance of sustained practice through the metaphor of the rain falling equally on all plants. The rain doesn't discriminate, but different plants absorb water differently based on their nature and condition. Similarly, the benefits of practice are available to everyone, but we must create the conditions to receive them through regular, sincere effort. There's a famous story about a student who asked his teacher, "How long until I achieve enlightenment?" The teacher replied, 10 years. The student said, "What if I practice twice as hard?" The teacher answered, 20 years. This story isn't about discouraging effort. It's about understanding that spiritual growth cannot be forced or rushed. It unfolds naturally when we practice consistently, without attachment to immediate results. This is where many people stumble. They chant for a week and expect their entire life to transform. When it doesn't, they declare the practice doesn't work. But imagine if you went to the gym once and then complained that you weren't in perfect shape. Everyone would laugh. We understand that physical fitness requires consistent effort over time. Mental and spiritual fitness work the same way. We're training our consciousness, rewiring our neural pathways, shifting our default patterns. This takes time and patience and faith in the process. Nichiren Daishonin taught that doubt is the greatest obstacle to practice. Not the doubt that questions and seeks understanding, but the doubt that paralyzes action. When we doubt the practice, we practice half-heartedly. When we practice half-heartedly, we get weak results. When we get weak results, our doubt increases. This becomes a downward spiral. The antidote is to practice with full commitment, at least for a defined period, and observe what happens. Approach it like an experiment. Give it your full effort, and then evaluate the results honestly. Many people are scared of looking at their karma directly. They prefer distraction because self-examination can be painful. We have to face the ways we've hurt others, the ways we've hurt ourselves, the patterns we've repeated despite knowing better. But this discomfort is actually medicine. When a wound is hidden under layers of bandages, it festers. When we expose it to air and light, it can finally heal. Buddhist practice creates a safe container for this exposure. We don't have to face our darkness alone or without tools. We have the practice to support us. The concept of the oneness of body and mind is essential here. We can't separate our physical state from our mental state, from our spiritual state. They all influence each other constantly. This is why Buddhist practice often includes not just mental practices like chanting and meditation, but also physical practices like bowing, walking meditation, and mindful movement. When we change our body, we change our mind. When we change our mind, we change our body. And when we change both together, we change our entire experience of life. Consider how you feel after a good night's sleep versus after staying up too late scrolling. Consider how you feel after eating nourishing food versus after eating junk. Consider how you feel after exercise versus after sitting all day. Our physical choices create mental and emotional effects. Buddhist practice teaches us to pay attention to all of these connections, to treat our bodies as temples that house our practice, to make choices that support our highest potential rather than undermining it. Nichiren Daishonin emphasized the importance of studying the teachings alongside practicing them. Practice without study can become superstitious. Study without practice becomes mere philosophy. But when we combine both, something powerful happens. We begin to understand our experience through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, and we deepen our wisdom through the lens of lived experience. The teachings illuminate our practice, and our practice brings the teachings to life. The transformation we seek is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully ourselves, stripped of the layers of conditioning and fear that hide our true nature. Every person has a unique mission in this life, a contribution only they can make. But we can't fulfill that mission while we're caught in destructive patterns, driven by unconscious karma. Buddhist practice clears away the obstacles so our light can shine through. This is why these practices are tools rather than escapes. They don't let us hide from life. They equip us to engage with life more fully, more consciously, more courageously. They don't promise an easy path, but they promise a meaningful one. They don't guarantee we'll never face difficulty, but they guarantee we'll have the resources to transform difficulty into growth. And that makes all the difference.